Welcome to the morning edition of Encounters, the early edition. I'm CmdrAleon. You know me for our late night show, Encounters, at 11 o'clock in the evening, most nights. Saturday night is #Command Q&A. This morning we decided to come on, and we try to get on in the morning once in a while, take you by surprise, so to speak. We know there's a lot of people on during the day, during breakfast periods, which is right about now, that'll say, wow, what's this thing? Encounters. So I know there's going to be a lot of people coming in here in the morning that have never heard of the show. Hey, Johnny, good to see you. We'll be on here till about 10:15 this morning for an hour and 15 minutes. So last night we had a good show, and then the commander decided it was time to call it a night. It was, you got to know when you need to just call it a night. So we did. We had a good show last night. Welcome to the show. If you're new to the show, good morning. I'm CmdrAleon. I'm the host of Encounters, the #1 spiritual UFO talk show, and also on FM radio on WESU FM, 21 years on WESU NPR Pacifica Radio affiliate, doing the Cosmic Eye, a show dedicated to the Astro Command for a good 21 years. So welcome to the show. If you're just finding us this morning, welcome. You're going to be in for a great show. And this is a show, this is not just a TikTok broadcast where people, bat each other over the head and yell and scream and whatever they're doing. Run around with cow outfits on with disco lights. We don't do that on TikTok. Thank God, right? Or whatever. And we do, in the morning, we had our coffee. Hey, Gitsy girl. We have our apple cider this morning. We had our coffee early on. Some Hawaiian ground bean coffee. It was really good. We like that Hawaiian coffee from the island of Hawaii. And we just welcome everybody here. In the mornings, we never know who's going to be here because we're not usually on in the mornings. But as the word spreads, hey, cultural commentator, good to see you. The morning folks are going to find out about encounters now, right? Hey, there's that UFO show on here on Thursday morning. I'm seeing a UFO show. And just to turn the camera just a little bit up a little bit. Let me see if I can do that. Whoops. And just maybe bring it back a little bit here. I'm able to adjust it. Let's see here. We might be able to do that. Huh. They'll have to leave a message. I had a call coming in from another town, so I said, leave a message, So welcome to the show. Dreamers Paranormal, good to see you, everybody coming in here. And the way I like to do it is, normally I share information as well. I have a lot of information, but I also love to interview people and get your stories related to contact with space people. Definitely. So I'm very interested in what's happening out there. I just posted on Facebook, as I am on Facebook, I posted a promotional video. Sometimes it's me. You're not blocked. We can see your writing. You're not blocked at all. You're good. No blockage here. I can see you. Oh my God, I have a story. I posted it on Reddit because it's long. Sage, we're going to bring you up. I think. No, you only have 7 followers. Let me see here. Why is it possible that someone with 7 followers can be a guest on my show? Has TikTok changed the rules, folks? Now I'm not even sure what the TikTok rules are anymore. What is the, for audio, does anybody know what the TikTok rules are if you're a new person? Because it says I can bring the person up and they only have 7 followers. That's pretty weird. And I'm going to bring them up because I'm able to. I don't care if it's 7 or 300 or whatever it is anymore because I have no idea. So we're going to bring you up, Sage. It says I can bring you up on audio. Let me just make a note here. You have to be over 18. If you're not over 18, I can't bring you up. You have to no foul language, no smoking, no vaping, no drugs, no drinking. No paranormal discussion. This is strictly a show dealing with the spiritual areas of the UFO. Sage is going to be our first guest this morning, folks. Hey, good morning,
Uh,
Sage.
Hello.
Hello, and
I
how
did
old are you,
not
by the way?
expect. I'm 23,
Okay,
almost
good. I just want
24.
I don't want to have any problems. So, okay, that's great. And it used to be that you have to have 300 followers to go on like live audio. So I don't understand Facebook. I mean TikTok anymore. But go ahead. Where are you located?
Oh,
And tell us your story.
well, I didn't even, I'm new to TikTok. Anyways, yeah, so I posted this on Reddit if anyone wants to check it out. I think it's on, I'd have to check, but it's on like Unsolved Encounters or something Encounters.
Mm-hmm.
And my name on there is Quest Brand Pizza. So if you want to check that out, I did post it. But basically, I live in Louisiana,
Mm,
and this happened when I was like 17. And I went out with a friend to a restaurant, and we decided to go to a movie theater.
mm-hmm.
And when we went across the street. The movie theater was downtown, and we went across the street because there's a nice bathroom. And we
Mm-hmm.
were leaving the bathroom, and I noticed there was a guy in the lobby who was looking at his phone, and he was dressed in like denim on denim, so like a denim
Mm-hmm.
jacket and denim pants. And he followed us out of there and ended up following us into the movie theater.
Mm-hmm.
And so I kind of clocked him because I was 17. So also, it was a Saturday, and downtown was usually popping a little bit on a Saturday, and it was like barren this night, just so
Mm.
everyone's clear. Anyway, so we saw the movie. When we went into the theater and I sat at the top row, my friend went to go get popcorn or something like that. The movie theater was empty except for a couple like in the front that were like 50 or something years old.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy chose to come up to our row and sit on the very far left corner, which is arguably a pretty bad spot to choose.
Yeah.
And so I clocked him. I was like, okay, like what is going on? And so while we're watching the movie, this guy does not look up from his phone ever. I never
Hmm.
like caught a glimpse of like his full face because I obviously don't want to stare at a stranger. And
Right.
but I did notice that his phone brightness was so bright, and I was like, what is this guy doing? So a couple of times I looked over at his phone and I didn't see anything on the screen at all.
Really.
It wasn't like a dark screen
Mm-hmm.
like where you have that, thing that protects other people from seeing. It was like a bright white screen. I think occasionally I saw like a little red something in the corner, but it didn't look like he was on any sort of like social media or like texting
Really.
anybody. It was so weird. So then we finished the movie and we're leaving. We go to the bathroom in the theater and then we're walking out, and I'm holding the door for that couple. And my
Yeah.
friend's walking out, not really talking to me, like, or she's talking to me, but she just keeps going, doesn't
Yeah.
realize I'm holding the door. And the guy's coming behind the couple, and
Hmm.
so I continue to hold the door for him. This is the part where I'm like, I swear to God, this was an alien. Also, it continues, but anyways. So
Yeah.
he's walking out. He finally puts his phone. I think he puts his phone in his pocket, and he looks up at me and smiles. So I smile back at him. And as soon as I smile back at him, like his face was not human at all.
Not
It
human.
was like it was like a human face at first, and then it was
Mm-hmm.
like this glimpse where I don't know, like he forgot to keep up the human appearance and
Yeah.
genuinely smiled with his real
Mm-hmm.
face. And it was
Wow.
like the smile stretched across like ear to ear,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't really know how to describe it other than his face
Yeah.
morphed. I would say
Morphed.
maybe like lizard vibes, but I don't
Really.
really know. And then so I guess I made a face, like I couldn't hide my emotions, and
Mm-hmm.
so I made like some sort of shocked face because he immediately, like, everything switched back. He looked down. I couldn't see his face very much. He walked past
Mm-hmm.
me, and I did like a 360 to like follow his
Wow.
trail to like see him more.
Yeah.
And I follow him around like as he's walking out the door, and by the time I turn around, when he would have just walked past me,
Yeah.
he's gone.
He's gone.
He's gone.
He
I
just disappeared.
Yeah, and I look down the street for the downtown area,
Mm-hmm.
and it's barren. So like
Mm-hmm.
I would have at least, if he just decided to run, I would see him
Right.
running. Like there's not
Right.
an alley very close by. There's a couple of cars. I check behind the cars. Anyway, so then I'm like, okay, guess I gotta keep going on with life. And so I take my friend back to her car. I'm driving home. Now, my home is, I'm to the point where it's like a straight shot for the next like 7 or 8 minutes.
Yeah.
And I'm noticing, like, it's one of those things where sometimes, like, there's not very many cars, but you don't really pay attention. Tonight was, like, a very still night, something that you would pay attention to. And most of my encounters have been weirdly still like that. But anyway, so I'm going home, I'm on the straight shot, and there's a few different, like, I don't know what to call, like, airplane lights, kind of like traffic control lights that are normally in that area. Well, there's this new light that I'm super familiar with this area. Obviously, I drive this way all the time. And there's this new light, and it looks almost directly centered in the road from a distance. And I'm like, what is that? So I get towards it, and people can choose to believe me or not. I believe myself mostly.
I do believe the story.
As the years have continued, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, am I crazy? Did this happen? But I really feel like it happened. So I go towards the light, because that's the way I have to drive, and I turn into the left, like, turning lane, but I just kind of sit there, because what I'm looking at is, I kid you not, like a literal spaceship, and it's like,
oh my God,
it's like kind of a triangle, not quite. It's like a triangle with like a, maybe like a trapezoid piece at the end, and I'm looking at it from the ground up, so I can only see like the bottom of it.
Okay.
I can't see the top. I just see like what the bottom looks like. And and it was like so close. And I looked around to the trees. The trees weren't moving. It was not loud. I opened up my moonroof so that I could get more angles. I was like looking at this thing. I was like, what is this? I don't know how much time went by, probably like 20 minutes.
Wow.
And then I was like, okay, I just
Whoops, what happened to her? Oh, you there? Go ahead.
Hello. Yeah. So I go home. I turn into my neighborhood. The craft, I guess, like moves around my car and goes to the far left side of my neighborhood by the tree line. And it's almost like it can't go into my neighborhood because of where the trees are. But it stays there, and I would describe its motion as like very quick gliding movement until I could see it over there. Then it was just still again. And I got all the way home, and I pulled into the driveway, and I looked through the tree line where you can see like the landmark lights that are normally there, and you can see exactly where it was, the same bright light that I had seen before. The light was white, by the way.
It was white, okay.
Yeah, just a white sort of ball of light that when you're looking at it from a distance. And so I think I literally just got out of my car, stared at it for maybe like 5 more minutes, and then I ran into my house because we live near a military base. So I run into my house, and I'm 17 years old, like it's midnight, and I just like screamed to my parents. I'm like, guys, what vehicle did I just see? Because this is crazy. So my parents were in the military, and
I was going to say, were they in the military? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so my dad was retired military at the time. And so I asked him, I was like, we have to figure this out. We sat there and we Googled for like 30 minutes. We were like looking for different like airplanes that may or may not be doing testing over there. But the thing is like where I live is near the testing zone, but it's like where they could be doing flights. But I would assume that they would stay within the base because my house is so close to that area. I'm like, just stay there. But anyways, we couldn't find anything that. We found things that maybe were shaped similar, but would have made a lot of noise and a lot of wind, or things that maybe wouldn't have made some wind but noise.
Did the craft did it have any sound? And also back to the movie theater, the man that was looking at his whatever that was really bright, that is amazing. And it's so he comes out of the theater. It's late at night, and he just disappears. Is there a correlation between, now that object was following you, correct?
It followed me whenever I moved to go into my neighborhood, yeah, but it was just sitting in front of my neighborhood, almost like waiting for me. Of course, I don't like think necessarily it was waiting for me, but I will say I was like the only car on the road. It was right in front of my house.
It was waiting for you.
The feeling I get is that it was like he felt bad that he shocked me, and that he was mostly just curious. That's the feeling I got. I was like, I think he's just a curious dude.
So do you think that extraterrestrial being, that shapeshift, and he was revealing himself? What kind of vibes were you getting that you actually encountered this extraterrestrial putting himself in the facade of looking human like us?
What do you mean?
Like when you saw him, you didn't get any like negative indications that.
No. No, not at all. I
Hmm.
got so whenever he smiled, of course, I'm just thinking it's some strange dude who I clocked and he's smiling, and there's
Hmm.
nothing really that happened. So, of course, as a 17-year-old, when you're looking at
Right.
someone who, by the way, his age, I would have pegged him for like maybe like early 20s
Early
at the
20s.
time.
Okay.
So he looked pretty young. And no, the immediate vibe when I first saw him was I almost want to say like nothing
Hmm.
until I saw his face morph and then looked down. Then the only feeling I had was I felt sorry and I wanted to like, I was super curious for what I saw.
Yeah, of course. Now, so from what you're saying, it sounds to me like he was connected with that spaceship that was following you.
Yes, that's what I think. Can you hold
Okay.
on for 1 second?
Yeah, go ahead. You're watching Encounters, folks. We're usually on at 11 o'clock nightly. This is our morning show, and we have Sage on here talking about a really incredible story that is actually fascinating. If you're here and you're just finding the show, stick around instead of
Hello.
going scanning TikTok. Welcome back, Sage, if you're
Okay,
still here.
sorry. Thank you.
No problem. So as we're talking about this space person, so were they like a reptilian and not human?
I I don't know enough about aliens to say that or not, but
Yeah,
I get that vibe just because I feel like I've seen lizards and they have the similar mouth shape
yeah.
to the
Hmm.
guy that I saw. Also, the way like the rest of his face changed, it's the depictions I see people drawing
Right.
of like reptilian. Yeah, I would call it that.
Reptilian. Yes.
Yeah.
So it's interesting in your particular story, this reptilian person was in the movie theater. What do you think? I mean, you wouldn't know the answer, I don't think, but why do you think they were in a movie theater? And what I'm getting is maybe without your knowing it, he was following you.
Could have been, I mean, because that was the whole thing whenever we were across the street using the
Hmm.
restroom. No one was in that lobby at first. Of course, someone could have just walked in, but he was standing in the far left corner of the lobby, like
Yeah.
opposite the bathrooms. And then
Yeah.
when we came out, he waited a few paces and then ended up followed
Yeah.
us
That's
into the movie
interesting.
theater
Yeah.
and everything like that. So my main feeling for him was at first
Hmm.
when I thought he was human, of course I was just like, okay, strange guy, like don't really know. But then my main feeling from him overall was that he was curious and maybe wasn't supposed to be where he was.
Yeah.
I don't know
That's interesting as
why
to say
I
that.
come into
Yeah.
the picture, but
Hmm.
like I almost feel like he just wanted the experience of
Mm.
some human activities. And so we were the humans there. I know that I'm specifically a little bit more connected because my grandma has contacted aliens. My grandma like has always been
Really?
sort
So
of
your
connected in
grandmother
that. Hmm.
So you bring your grandmother, which I didn't know. So your grandmother, what's her connection with ETs?
Well, so she just retired, but she's been a practicing medium psychic for a very
Mm-hmm.
long time, basically her whole life.
Mm-hmm.
And through that, whenever I would visit her, she also tells me stories of how she's connected to aliens, how she has
Really?
open line of communication with some of them. And, something she used to always say when I was a kid was that if she wanted them to come visit real quick, they would. And so
Really?
she would, yeah, and she would take me outside sometimes and we would stare up at the sky and she would call one down. And there was a couple of times where she was like, oh, they can't come right now because the sky's not clear enough or something. And
Hmm.
we would like go inside. But there was a couple of times I can recall where she would say that something would come and we would see like a UFO type object in the sky, like maneuver and
Mm-hmm.
then like go away, maneuver in a different way, of course, than just a shooting
Yeah.
star from just staring at the sky, obviously.
Did your grandmother have physical contact? Because there really isn't. I try not to use the word alien because, but there are non-terrestrial or extraterrestrials. We call them extraterrestrials. That's more of the terminology that would be more accurate. But did your grandmother ever have physical interaction with these beings that were coming this show their ships?
I think she has. I
She
think
has.
I was too young, so I don't know all of her stories,
Mm-hmm.
but I know she's writing a book eventually about her
Oh,
stories
okay.
before
She
she
is. Okay.
dips out of this world. She's writing like a
Mm-hmm.
memoir of all of the
Okay.
stories. But
Wow.
but yeah, I believe that she's had some experiences in her home, in various
Mm-hmm.
homes that she's had.
Really? You're
Hmm.
gonna have to ask her about that. You have to
I
get her
will.
on onto my show here. We want to talk to your grandmother. We
Yeah.
definitely want to talk to your grandmother, man. I mean, she probably sounds like an amazing person.
Yeah.
You are too. I mean, this story I've never heard of before. I've heard a lot of stories. I've interviewed a lot of people on radio for 21 years and on my show here on TikTok. And from abductees to people having beautiful contacts and real physical contacts. So yours being another one of those physical contacts, but really different because, I mean, people listen to this. This this person, this space being, looked human in the movie theater on a late night, and she's with her friends, and there's not a lot of people in the theater. It's almost like made for movie. Like if you were to make a movie, this would be a part of it. Like this space
Yeah.
being goes
Yeah, it
into a
was
theater
crazy.
from a spaceship, follows you in there, and this is what I'm getting because I listen to stories. I know you're new to my show. I read energy. I work with the space people of my cosmic family, the Astro Command. There's a lot of layers about me. I've been a contactee since the 60s. I have direct contact with space people that were wearing light blue outfits in a spaceship that I saw in a cul-de-sac when I was a kid, and they were pure love, and they're very spiritual, loving beings. They're human. So hearing your story was beautiful because what I'm hearing is, and what I'm getting is that it might have been that this particular reptilian was curious, this young reptilian was curious about you, and maybe just you happened to be there at the right time. But I think that they was more interested in you, and then followed you, left the theater, got in the ship, and there were probably, I'm sure he wasn't the only one in his ship, but he
Hmm.
probably came, followed you, and it wasn't just, and the fact that you're in your military base, I don't think that particular being had any connection with our military on that base.
That's what I think.
I think it
Yeah.
was a separate situation, absolutely separate. I think for some reason he was interested in you. The thing I found interesting is that I usually have dealt with people that have been abducted by reptilians in a very negative scenario. In your particular case, that was not the case. In
Hmm.
your case, this young person who was actually not human um, was actually interested in watching you for some reason. And that part I don't I mean, I kind of get a little bit of it. I'm trying to figure it out as we're talking. And I usually
Right.
do figure things out when I have guests on here. But that is really interesting and very different from other people's scenarios. It really is.
Thanks.
Yeah,
I
no, it's totally different.
yeah, yeah, the overall feeling I got from him, like I said, was just genuine curiosity. I will say, now this could just be a psychological response
Mm-hmm.
to what I saw, but
Mm-hmm.
I think for the next probably months,
Mm-hmm.
like at least for a few days after, I felt like I was being watched.
Huh.
Like, and I
But,
kept checking in that area for that craft again, and I never saw it
yeah.
again. But every so often, and it was very distinct, so it's not like the feeling of being watched every second of every day.
Right.
It was
Right.
like very specifically, like certain hours, not the same hour every night either,
Mm-hmm.
where I was like, is something outside watching me right now? Like, I don't understand. I would maybe
Right.
look out the window, I would check, I wouldn't see anything, and then I would maybe go to bed or do whatever I was doing that night. And that
Yeah.
went on
Yeah.
for a while. And then
Hmm.
there's actually still to this day, now it's not every single day, obviously, but
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
once a year or like every so often, randomly,
Mm-hmm.
I'll get that same feeling again. And I kind of just refer to him as like the denim boy. And
The
I just
denim boy.
like,
Yeah.
I kind of send messages out there just in the world. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, hey, just so you know,
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm sorry I looked at you like that. And I'm, and like, you're
Right.
totally fine to look at me. Like, it doesn't bother me. Like,
Yeah.
kind of vibes
So
out there.
so Sage, when you feel at times you're being watched, who do you think is watching you?
Well, I think it's him. Like
You think he's watching
100%.
you?
I think it's either him or whoever he's like friends with or whatever group he's
Mm-hmm.
a part
Mm-hmm.
of.
Right.
I do feel like there was multiple beings in
Mm-hmm.
this ship, like he
Yeah.
said.
Yeah.
So I
Do you
don't know
think
that
in
it's
his
always him.
ship, and I know I'm speculating here, but
Hmm.
so it's interesting you said what you just said. I listen to every word when people speak because that's what I do. I've been trained in media. So when you said you thought there were multiple different people on the ship, do you think there are different extraterrestrial races on the ship he was from?
You know, that's interesting. I
And I
feel
know it's hard
like,
to answer that question, but go ahead.
no, yeah, I don't know. I think that to me, it felt like there was definitely more than one, but it
Hmm.
also didn't necessarily feel like they were all the same.
That's what I
Um,
mean. All the same,
yeah,
same ETs.
like the fact that he was seemed reptilian to me.
Hmm.
It didn't seem like everybody on the ship was. Does that make sense?
Interest. It makes
Like, and I know
it's
that's
very interesting.
weird,
Yes. It's
but
not
I'm
weird at
just
all.
picking up on vibes, okay? I'm
Hmm.
just
Hmm.
vibing, and I've always been very good at that. So I
Hmm.
think that's why, maybe that's why he was curious to me, because I know that my
Mm.
grandma was retiring soon.
Hmm.
She finally just retired from that practice, and so she's always told me that as I got older in my life, like these things would keep happening to me as long as I
So
allowed
she
it.
so she knew that these things would happen to you. Is there like a
Hmm.
generational connection? Not just your grandmother. Have other people in your family had contact with extraterrestrial intelligence?
Yeah, so I wouldn't be able to tell you everybody, but
Right.
I know that my grandma had a lot of kids, like 7 kids or something.
Hmm.
I know a few of them have experienced things, a few of them haven't. And then
Hmm.
she's actually technically my great grandmother. I was adopted, long story. She's technically
Oh,
my
okay.
great grandmother. And she said that it specifically skipped my mom,
Really?
which is technically my grandma.
Hmm.
And then she said it would have gone to my mom, which is my birth mom, but my
Hmm.
birth mom has a mental disorder.
Hmm.
And she said, so because of that, if I allow myself to be in tune, and this is something she's told me since I was a kid,
Mm.
she's like, if you allow yourself to be connected with, you will be like your whole life. And that's been pretty much true. There's been times where I'm like,
Really?
I kind of shut things off. I'm like, okay,
Hmm.
like I don't want to be contacted by anything. Like
Right.
people are like, you guys are freaking me out, whether it's
Leave me
paranormal,
alone,
whether
right?
it's
Yeah.
alien. Yeah.
Whatever it is, leave me alone, right?
And so recently I've been getting back into it because I keep thinking about this denim boy
Hmm.
more now than in the last few years. And so that's why I posted on Reddit, because I've been looking for people who have had similar experience to me, because I do realize that it seems like a different experience than the ones I get to read about.
Yeah, and the thing that you found my show, and I wasn't sure if it was coming on this morning. Normally on at 11 o'clock. I have a lot of people, hundreds of people at
Hmm.
night to watch the show, but I sometimes will come on like I did this morning. I said I got to come on this morning, and lo and behold, you find the show. As many people will find my show who've never seen it before. So I'm really glad you're here. So it seems like there is a generational thing in their family. Not like I said, not everybody is that, but there are. And you said you were adopted, correct?
Yes.
That's interesting. So tell
Yeah,
us
so I
about
was
that.
adopted. I was adopted by my grandma. So the grandma I'm talking about, who's technically my great grandma,
Hmm.
is technically my great grandma by like blood, but I
Hmm.
was adopted by her daughter, so my
Hmm.
grandma, but I call her mom.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much the adoption story. It was because my birth mother, like I said, she has a mental disability. She
Mm-hmm.
has something called schizoaffective disorder.
Hmm.
And so she was deemed an unfit mother by the courts. And they were going to put me in the foster care system, but my mom said, and so she adopted me, my grandma.
Oh, great, great.
Yeah. And so basically, it's weird because, like I say, I call my great grandma grandma. And so, like, everybody's like titles is just like 1 degree lower than what it
Hmm.
actually is. So, like, my
Yeah.
brothers and sisters are technically my aunts and uncles.
Hmm. Oh, wow. That's,
but,
yeah. No,
but
I
yeah.
got you.
But yeah, we're still blood related. The only side of my family that I'm not related to is my dad's side. So
I
my
got you.
grandpa is actually a step grandpa. And
Hmm.
so, but that that mom's side of the family is definitely related by blood.
So it seems like you have the ability, which is amazing, that you don't, I mean, we talked about things like C5, contact with extraterrestrial intelligence. This is Commander Aleon, host of the show here, Encounters. If you're just watching the show, stick around, stay here, don't go all over TikTok land. You're going to enjoy a real talk show here. So it appears to be that you can switch off the contact and you can switch on the contact, if you wish to. Like you have control of whether you want to have some sort of interaction with extraterrestrial intelligence. It appears that way to me.
Yeah, a little bit.
Correct?
I would call it maybe like respect. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
I have some sort of respect out there. I think they
Mm-hmm.
understand that I can communicate, and so sometimes I do communicate that I'm getting freaked out and that I need a break, and it seems like they reward that to me, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then there's
Mm-hmm.
times where I'm like, hey, I'm trying to get back connected, and then some things start
Mm-hmm.
slowly coming back.
And it seems to me, in your experience, which I find amazing, folks who are watching this, Sage is our guest. She's definitely a contactee. And if you don't know what contactee means, Sage, it means that you've had contact with extraterrestrial intelligence. You're not an abductee, because an abductee is someone who would have been taken by an extraterrestrial onto a ship and been examined and all this stuff. This particular young space person or extraterrestrial had no intention of abducting anybody. When you were in that movie theater, from the time the ship appeared and followed you home, it appears that there's a connection you have with and I think that on their ship, there's, like I said, we talked about it earlier. I have a feeling that there are multiple ET races on that ship. I don't know who they
Mm-hmm.
are, but I get the strongest feeling. It's not like one group is like there. I think it's something more than one group. I think you're dealing with multiple groups or multiple individuals from other planetary systems. That's the feeling I get. And
Mm-hmm.
they haven't even tried to abduct you since you were 17. You've never been abducted, correct?
Um,
Or
I
no?
don't,
Or yes?
I don't know. I don't think so. There's one experience that I've had, but I don't know what you would make of it because to
Mm-hmm.
me, it felt like a dream. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's like classic abductee story, but it was,
Hmm.
very briefly, I can just tell you, but it was
Yeah, go
like
ahead.
I had a dream where I had been lucid dreaming frequently.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd
Yeah.
had a couple of lucid dreams. I was feeling like pretty confident in my abilities to do that. And I was actually practicing it. Okay. So then a few nights later, I'm not practicing it every night, obviously. And so I just go to sleep one night. I have a dream. In the dream, I wake up on, I guess, like a table, and I'm in a room that didn't really have much in it. It didn't look like it had anything in it, really. And so I get up off the table and I walk into the hallway, and the hallway is bright white and it goes on
Mm-hmm.
for like ever. So I'm just
Mm-hmm.
walking around, really, not feeling very fearful, just kind of walking around, seeing what's going on. And then there's every so often, there's a doorway, and the
Mm-hmm.
rooms are comparably very, very dark in the room
Hmm.
because the hallway is just so bright white,
Mm-hmm.
cold lighting. And and I ended up at a certain point after walking around endlessly, I started freaking out, and so I just started running endlessly,
Mm.
and eventually I just decided to run into one of the rooms. Well, so I run into the room. It's super dark. You turn around and you can see like the hallway and the door lighting up the hallway, and I touch the wall on the far side of the room.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, let me try to figure out where the heck I am. Like, what is happening right now? And
Yeah.
then I see two figures standing in the doorway that look probably way skinnier than they actually are because of the
Yeah.
light contrast.
Mm-hmm.
The overall feeling is fine. Nothing too, I mean, I'm scared, but I'm not feeling any sort of like negative way besides
Right.
that. And the very calm energy, except for my energy, was very not calm. And so these two beings are very tall, very classic, alien, style.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe like, humanoid, not super large heads.
Mm-hmm.
And they walk towards me. And so I decide I'm dreaming, right? I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, this is a dream. I can lucid
Dream.
dream now. I'm
Right.
gonna shoot lasers out of my eyes. I'm not even kidding. That's what I thought.
Okay. Okay.
And so then I close my eyes and I muster up the courage, which
Mm-hmm.
I've done this in other lucid dreams, and
Hmm.
I close my eyes and I
Mm-hmm.
open them expecting to shoot lasers, and lasers do not come out of my eyes.
Right.
So that obviously freaks me out. And I'm like, "Oh my God, wait, is this real?" And then
Mm-hmm.
and then all of a sudden they've been approaching me this whole time,
Right.
very calmly walking up towards me. Then
Right.
one of them just puts their hand directly like on top of my face, and I wake
Really
up.
interesting.
So I don't know what you make
So,
of that, but
oh,
yeah.
I'm reading everything. I have the ability because I don't come from Earth. I come from the Astro Command level of the space people. I come from Mars originally. I came here. I volunteered to come here. I am human, but I'm not human at the same time. If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Starseed. So I can read into your story, and that when you astro project or went out of your in your dream state, that was not really a dream at all. Actually, you did actually go on a spaceship.
Mm.
You know, that's the thing, people, when you're watching the show, you have to understand something. When I hear stories like this, I have many years of experience in this subject area, a lot of years. So I have a background that I can actually, a foundation to know things. And I would tell you that the two beings, you were definitely taken on board a ship. I think when you thought you were dreaming, your whole physical body was taken on the ship as well. So it wasn't like you left your body, your physical person, when
Mm.
they sent you back into where you were sleeping, the whole body came back in a way that you didn't even know that you left. So now
Yeah.
people have to understand that you're dealing with a situation where these extraterrestrial beings have the ability to do certain things that would make you think you were dreaming when you're not dreaming at all. So, oh, it was just a dream. I had a dream I was on a ship and I was on a table and I was walking around, got into a room in one of the parts of the ship, and there were these two beings, space beings or people or beings, and it absolutely was not a dream. A
That's what I
dream is
felt like.
something. Yeah, you know what a dream is? You know what a basic dream is? Is a dream is something where you see a bunch of marshmallows floating around with maybe some ice cream cones.
Yeah.
That's a dream. That's just a dream. Well, you had a detail of each room, a table, two beings that you described in very detailed information in words. It was not a dream. It was actually a real scenario where you were taken from your home onto a spaceship, but they made it seem like you were dream. And they had the ability, when they put their hand over your face, what they did is they projected you back to your bedroom and
Hmm.
made you think it was a dream. And folks, she wasn't dreaming. She actually had a very real experience. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, and for the viewers, I guess, just to mention,
Hmm.
at the time, just for anyone who's thinking it was a dream, now I'm debating back and forth on it. I've always
Right.
felt like it wasn't really, because I've had very specific, I have a long history of like connections with dreams
Hmm.
where there's very specific dreams where I'm like, I definitely astral projected somewhere else.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
there's dreams that I have that are dreams, okay?
Hmm.
And for anyone who's listening, at the time I don't watch alien movies, okay? Like I don't
Right.
watch horror movies, I don't watch alien movies, I don't really, until now, these days I've started getting into content and trying to look for other people who have had experiences,
Right.
which is probably why I found this TikTok. But
Right.
but yeah, I mean, I would, there's nothing like influencing my dreams at this time,
No,
you
that's good.
know.
You know, and the more you watch my show, Sage, I'm on usually at 11. So if you're ever on 11, you're going to find there's a lot of people that are on my show that watch it that are contactees, people that have had abductions, people that have had beautiful contact with space people. I have a very wide audience of people and I have people that are just trying to learn about what's going on. But you'll find my show is really popular. We usually have a couple hundred people on at night, and I'm not always on in the morning. So this is like a unique period for me to come on a Thursday morning. I'm glad you're here. your stories, you got so much to tell, and that's why we're here talking with each other, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I normally don't log on to TikTok this early in the morning either. And
Right.
I don't even know why I woke up so early today. So that's
Because I'm
pretty
here, that's why.
interesting. That's what I'm thinking.
And, tell us more. I mean, I'm really like, I am so fascinated by this story. I've heard so many stories over the past year. This is the most interesting thing I've ever heard of, where I'm interested in this space being that was in a movie theater. I can't get that out of my
Hmm.
head. Following you, leaving the theater, he was smiling like a very friendly smile, correct?
Hmm. Yeah, it was
Like,
friendly
oh, hi,
until it
I'm
was,
friendly.
yeah, until it was like his actual face showed. And then his face was like immediate like embarrassment and like
Right.
shocked
Embarrassed.
and
Yeah.
down, and he just
Yeah.
immediately looked down to hide his face kind of,
Yeah.
and
He
like
was
brushed
embarrassed.
past me through the door.
Yeah, and he was a young extraterrestrial being, and he was embarrassed. This is really interesting. So he's in the theater. It's late at night with your friends. It's sparsely populated in the theater, and you're watching a movie. He's there, but he's not there for the movie. You see, and as I
Yeah.
think about this, he wasn't there for the movie. He was there knowing he was going to make contact with you. He came to make contact with you. He didn't care about the movie. That was just a side thing. He was there to be making some sort of contact with you. Do you feel that was the case?
I mean,
I
I
feel that I'm definitely feeling that.
I feel like I don't want to feel
Hmm.
so selfish as to think that it was all
Hmm.
about me, right? But I mean, at the
Hmm.
same time, low key, yeah. I mean, I
Well,
definitely.
it wouldn't be selfish. It's just something naturally was supposed to happen. It's nothing to being selfish. There's no selfishness there. If that being wanted to make contact with you, he certainly kept you in his memory from the time that happened when you were
Yeah.
17. You
Yeah,
know
it
what I
was
mean?
definitely weird. I mean, I was definitely
Hmm.
like, because such an odd placement. I mean, you
Hmm.
know those specific theaters where the top row extends a little bit further, kind of like over the
Yeah.
staircase?
Oh yeah.
That's
Yeah, I know what
that's
that
the
is.
distance he sat at. So it's like
Wow.
he chose like the worst spot in an empty movie
Right.
theater. Come on now.
I mean, if you take the worst spot in the theater, you're not coming to watch a movie, and then you find out that he was from outer space and he's
Yeah.
sitting in the theater. You couldn't make this up, folks. This is like a movie in the making. This itself is in a movie. This story is in itself an actual movie in the making. It's an amazing situation that you're
Thank you. Yeah, it was very intense for me.
in.
I
Mm,
mean, because at first, it's so interesting because, sometimes, I mean, if there's any like young girls watching, you totally get it.
mm-hmm.
When you're by yourself or like with a friend and you're a young girl, you're obviously paying attention to your surroundings. Um, and there has been times where you're paying attention to your surroundings, but you feel like they're a creep. You know what I mean?
Right, right,
This was not that. So
right,
I clocked him because of course I want to be aware of my surroundings, but in no point did I ever feel like he was creepy or he was
right,
bad or
right,
evil or anything. I
right.
just found it odd that
Mm-hmm.
he was doing what he was doing in the theater, which was
Right,
just staring at a blank phone screen.
right.
Almost
Who
like
does that?
almost like he was trying to, yeah, mimic a human without knowing enough. Like
Right.
he knows that we all just like bend down and look at our phones all the time.
Right, we all have
So
cell
he was
phones and we
like,
all go into the theater, sit there in the corner away from everybody, look down at a bright
yeah,
light in our cell phone while a movie's
right,
going on. Like we
right.
do that, right?
Yeah, I know. Like so I thought maybe that he just didn't do enough research before he came, or he was, you know what I mean? But that was the feeling. The feeling was that he
Right.
was young, he was curious, and
Yeah.
that he maybe wasn't supposed to be doing what he was doing.
Oh.
And yeah, that was my feeling, was like
Like
he,
when you say he wasn't supposed to be doing what he was doing, you think he was being a little bit rebellious?
I feel like he, yeah, I feel like he kind of like a
And
kid, like
right,
going somewhere you're not supposed to. You
right.
told your parents you were going to be home at
That's
7,
right.
but you actually went to the skating rink till 11 or something.
Right.
That's kind of what it felt like. It felt like he
Hmm.
was not supposed to be so close. Like maybe they weren't
Right.
gonna do the spacecraft thing, or I was gonna get that feeling later of being watched, like that was already
Hmm.
going to be happening. And
Yeah.
he decided to go on the ground level when he wasn't supposed to. And then when I
Oh,
saw his
yeah, I
face,
think
he
that's
felt
it.
like he got caught. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I think he did something he wasn't supposed to do. You know, you never think about this. The people from outer space or beings from other planets, they have parents too. So you figure this young space person or being that's humanoid in form to an extent is doing something, and now is embarrassed because you noticed him, and he's not supposed to. He went off his ship, went into a
Mm-hmm.
movie theater. There were a group of young people that were 17. He hung out with you guys in a way from a distance and looking down at his phone, folks who are watching this. And she's in a movie theater late at night, and he goes out, he's smiling, he's losing his human facial look like a regular human, showing that he is not human, and then he disappears, which is
Mm-hmm.
back on his spaceship, wherever it was. However, he went back on his ship. Then the ship follows you, and there's obviously, I get the feeling that there was more than one specific ET race in the ship, follows you as I'm like giving a narrative of your story for those just coming in.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the situation where you're now on a spaceship in a dream, which is not a dream, just to get people up to snuff here. And she's on a ship where there's like these corridors and rooms and everything is bright, and she's on a table, gets off the table, walks around, goes into a dark room, and then as she is in this dark room, there's these two space beings, and then one of them puts his hand on your face, as you said earlier, then you're back in your bed. And as I
Correct.
stated, I'm very clearly certain that that was not a dream, that you physically were taken on a ship, you're on a table. When you're on the table, did they do anything to you on the table, or did you just have the freedom to get off the table and walk around?
See, that's the thing. That's why I've always been confused about it, because you hear those
Hmm.
stories and it's like they're doing all these
Right.
experiments. My feeling was that it was a cold metal table.
Hmm.
Um, you know, what you would, I don't know,
Yeah.
expect in some sort of medical sense.
Right.
Um,
Right.
I don't know how I was dressed. I never really looked down. It did
Okay.
feel like my bare butt was on the table. Sorry for the
Okay.
viewers. Um,
That's okay.
but like, I definitely had some sort of garment on.
Hmm.
Um, and
Hmm.
yeah, the table was free for me to get up. It seemed like there was literally nothing in the room. There wasn't any tools. There wasn't any, like maybe
Right.
there could have been drawers for the details in the room.
Right.
Um,
But
like
so there
flat,
wasn't any like in a typical
nothing.
abduction scenario, and I've been to hundreds of people. There was no like they weren't doing like, okay, we're going to use this advanced little,
Mm-mm.
we're going to use a metal device and a metal device, and we're going to do something to your brain or something. There was nothing like that going on, correct?
No, no, not at all. They weren't even in the room whenever I woke up. They
Yeah,
weren't in the hallway for
interesting.
the longest time.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed like they were not worried about me walking around at all. And
Huh.
it also, the feeling when I woke up, I don't feel like anything happened to me. Like,
No, I
I
don't think
don't
anything happened to you
feel,
either.
no, I don't think they did any sort of experiment on me. If anything, it feels like maybe they were checking out something to like telepathically,
Mm-hmm.
maybe checking out my brain in some way, but I don't think
Hmm.
I don't know if I woke up too early or if they got distracted and did something else and then
Yeah.
came back to the room, found me not there, went to the room where I was at, and then
Yeah.
just let me wake up. I don't really know. But I definitely don't feel like anything big happened to me on that.
No, I usually can feel things. Nothing happened to you. I don't. This is a really interesting story. So you're
Mm-hmm.
taken on a ship, and they're making you think it's a dream when it's not a dream, folks. That she's talking about being taken on this ship when she's sleeping, but she wasn't astral projecting. She wasn't even dreaming. But they were able to make her think it was a dream. You see, she goes on the ship. She gets up off the table. She's walking around the spaceship. She finally sees these two space people or beings, and they've done absolutely nothing to her physically or mentally. And then they touch her. Well, the only thing is, he put his face on his hands on your face. You're back in your bed on Earth in your room, which is amazing. So there's something here going on here. Um, and obviously, I still think that there's a connection with that young person that was a space person that actually who revealed himself to you, and you saw his physical form, which is not necessarily like looking at a man or somebody who looks like a human being.
Right.
correct?
Right.
Interesting, interesting. You know,
Yeah. His
I'm still
physical
trying to figure some
stature.
things out. But go ahead.
Oh, yeah. I was just going to describe him a little bit more in detail.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, like I said, he was probably early 20s as I'm
Mm-hmm.
looking at him, assuming he's a human at the time. Um, Denim jacket, denim pants, white shirt. Okay, almost like a greaser. And but anyway, and then he was physically fit, little bit bulky shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I something interesting to note. I don't know if it's my memory that's serving me like this, but I seem to
Mm-hmm.
remember even at the time feeling like I just couldn't catch a glimpse of his face, no matter how hard I tried the whole
Right.
time. Like in the movie, like I said, of course, I'm trying not to stare at somebody, but
Right.
I'm talking from the bathroom to the movie theater to the actual
Right.
inside theater to
Mm-hmm.
until I did see his face. Every time I tried to like catch a glimpse of his face from the side
Yeah.
profile, I couldn't get enough information to like make up what his face looked like. But then he had brown hair, short brown
No,
hair.
that's just interesting. So wait a minute. Did he have actual physically brown hair when he revealed himself, or was that when he looked human?
So when he looked human, it was like a light brown, not blonde at all, like
Mm-hmm.
really
Mm-hmm.
short brown hair.
Short brown hair.
Yeah, I wouldn't have noticed if it looked fake. In my memory, it looks
Right.
fake, but it, in person, I didn't assume anything about his hair other than
Now,
the color.
when he revealed himself, did he have actual hair physically on his real body or no? On his head, I
So
mean.
when he revealed himself, it was very
Yeah.
split second, and I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't paying attention to his hair. I'm gonna be so honest with
Okay.
you. I
Okay.
I was too shook at his face,
Yeah.
and then he
I've got you.
immediately. I know when he immediately looked down, his hair was still there.
Really?
Yeah, because when
So
he looked down, he had brown hair still.
so he could have potentially had physically had hair like we have, but his face looked different.
Correct. Yeah, just for that split second.
Interesting.
So it seemed like
Interesting.
when he first smiled, it was definitely a human face, and
Mm-hmm.
then it just morphed into not human, and then
Not
it
human.
morphed back to human when he looked down and
When it
embarrassed.
morphed into people you're watching encounters, the late night show, we're usually on 11 o'clock. Put that on your calendar. 11 o'clock p.m. nightly. We have a big show at night usually. We're here this morning doing a live show. We're trying to do some live shows in the morning during the day. So, and our guest is Sage, who is essentially, I'm looking at this as a contactee experience, an incredible story. I mean, a really interesting story. And this show is being taped on my YouTube channel, Ashtar Command Spaceship News. Write this down, Ashtar Command Spaceship News. This show will be available on my YouTube channel later today. We are recording all our shows, and they are on my YouTube channel, Ashtar Command Spaceship News. So you can subscribe to our main channel there. And so as he morphed in and revealed himself for a split second, from being a human with what we call brown hair or light brown hair, when he showed his true self for that moment, he still had physical hair on his head. Is that correct?
Yes.
Interesting. I mean, that is interesting. So he actually, and then you say he looked reptilian, but he had hair. That's very, very different.
Well, I'm sorry.
No,
That's
no, I'm
just
just
my
saying
experience.
that's amazing, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I wish I could remember. Again, I was 17.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 20. I'm almost 24 now, so it's a few
24,
years
okay.
now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, if my memory serves me well enough, and by the way, I'm calling him reptilian because of the images I've seen online.
Okay, so you're
That
not
very
really
well
sure
may
he is.
not be the case. I
Okay,
mean,
so he might not even be reptilian, and I don't think he might be reptilian because to be reptilian, and I tend not to go by all these images on internet because there's a lot of stuff that's messed up with the internet regarding the
mm-hmm,
subject.
mm-hmm.
But in terms of him, he actually doesn't. I don't think he is reptilian.
That's
But
kind of,
again,
can
I
I
don't
say
think he
that's
is.
kind of the vibe I've always gotten as well, but I
Hmm.
do feel like it's the best way to describe the mouth for people to easily
Right.
understand what it looked like. But
Hmm.
that's always been the vibe I get. Every time I
Yeah.
think of calling him reptilian, there's just something in me that's like, that's
Yeah. No,
wrong.
I don't think
I'm
he
just
is
like, that's not
because
what it is.
when you said that he actually revealed himself, folks, he reveals himself, and Sage says he does have a head of hair. So reptilians don't have a head of hair. So I don't think that you had an encounter with a reptilian. But
Mm-hmm.
again, I don't know what species or what race this young person's from, but yeah, it's not reptilian.
Yeah, to me, it's almost like, I don't know. I don't know that the ones that I saw in
Mm-hmm.
the ship sort of
Yeah.
scenario, they were very, I wish I knew all the terminology for all of these different types of aliens that people
I can
describe
help you with
online.
some term. I can help you. The first terminology is that there's no aliens, but if you want to use the word that they are extraterrestrial beings, that would be more appropriate for what you're
Okay, so
talking
then
about.
extraterrestrial beings,
Yeah. Yeah.
and the two beings that I saw in that white, dark room and
Mm-hmm.
stuff, because of the shadows, I couldn't really tell exactly what they looked like. To me,
Mm-hmm.
they looked humanoid, but not like the typical depictions of like they call like the gray
Mm-hmm.
alien that's like a human body but really skinny and like has that
Right.
huge head. It was more like they were tall
Mm-hmm.
and they were fairly skinny.
Mm-hmm.
And they had
How tall were they? Someone's asking.
well, so I'm 5'3". They were probably like I would guess like 6'1", six
Okay, six
five.
one. Okay, that's pretty tall. Yeah.
Yeah. And so they were definitely towering over me a bit. Their essence was interesting because when they put their hand on my head, it
Mm-hmm.
felt like whoever did that had more of like a feminine presence, but that they both
Interesting.
had both male and female like sort of presence, both masculine
So
and feminine.
you're saying that these extraterrestrial beings held both a feminine and a masculine energy, both of them?
Yeah, yeah. To me,
Interesting.
that's what it was. Like,
Okay.
I wouldn't have given them any sort of gender, that's for sure.
Really?
And,
Okay.
but I will say it was more of a feminine presence when it
Feminine.
touched
Okay.
me and
Interesting.
sent me back. I don't know if that was to make me more comfortable. I don't know if
Hmm.
that was
So,
to
so
just what it was.
is it possible to say that specific being might have been actually really female? I mean, you
Maybe
said it. That's what I'm trying to
I
say.
would say, I mean, if I mean, of course I don't know their biology, but
Right.
that is the vibes that I
Hmm.
picked up on. It
Yeah.
seemed like one had a stronger masculine presence and one had a
Yeah.
stronger feminine presence, and the one that happened to touch me was more feminine.
Very
But they
interesting. Very
both
interesting.
contained sort of both essences.
Wow. Wow. Amazing. 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 I mean, it's just, this is like one of those things that you can talk about forever. I mean, there's a whole book here. Um, yeah, Anderson, I'm just responding. So we do some morning shows, folks. We are trying to do some morning shows during the week. We're seeing how that goes. Our big show, for those of you who are new to my show, you got to watch us at 11 p.m. Our big show is usually on at night. We usually have almost 300 people pretty consistently on our encounter show. But I am trying to do some morning shows, and I know there's a lot of new people here. Also, remember to go Ashtar Command Spaceship News. If you missed any of our nighttime shows, you're a morning person, you can watch all our evening shows on YouTube, Ashtar Command Spaceship News. But we are on at 11 o'clock at night usually, and we have a big show usually in the evening. And we do interviews with people. I'm a contactee for people new to my show. I'm not from Earth. I am from Mars originally. I am human. I came here as a starseed, just to give people a background while interviewing Sage. I'm like a cosmic book. I don't go to websites for information. I get downloads off planet. I don't channel anything. And I've been doing radio for 21 years. I've been a contactee since the 60s. So I have a lot of background in this thing. I'm not like a new person, newbie, trying to learn about the subject, just interested in it, and on TikTok doing a show. I have a lot of background in the area. So welcome to our program. And Sage, you've been great. I definitely
Thank
want
you.
to, you've been great. I'm following you. Any final words you want to express?
If so, I'm new to TikTok. If people want to follow me, that's fine. I'm not trying to be all TikTok famous or anything like that.
Right,
Please
right,
don't, start DMing me and going all crazy.
right. I know people do
Feel
that.
free,
Yeah.
feel free to check out the story I posted it on Reddit if you came in late and wanted to read it. I wrote it in as good of detail as I could for a Reddit post. I think it's on Unexplained Encounters, and it's Quest Brand Pizza is my username. And then, yeah, I just want to say thank you. I did not realize that I would be coming and speaking
I
when I
had
made my
no idea
comment. I
But
didn't know at
when I hear
all.
comments, Sage, that's the thing. I look at people's comments, And if I see a story there, because my background's media, I know I have a really good, keen sense of people, and I
Mm.
knew I had to bring you up. If I didn't bring you up, I'd be making a mistake not doing it.
Oh,
Your story was absolutely amazing.
well, yeah, I just want to say thank you. I'll follow you. I'll definitely check out the YouTube. And if you ever want to talk again, I've got a plethora of stories, so just let me know. But
Oh, I do. I
anyway,
mean, yeah,
thank you
and
so
you know what?
much.
And even at nighttime, my audience is different at night. Some of the people here in the morning watch my nighttime show. You're welcome to come on any time during the night when I'm on and share your story on my nighttime audience as well. So, Sage, everybody follow her just
Thank
because it's a
you.
good thing to do. Thank you for being here, and we appreciate your story. You've been great.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely
Have
great.
a great day.
All right, Sage, you too. All right, I'm
All right.
definitely going to let her down, and we'll do one or two more stories. This is what I do here, folks. This is the kind of show I do at night. And if you're new to the show, great. We're glad to have you here. I know in mornings there's not a lot of this stuff going on, and I do an actual show here on TikTok called Encounters, and I'm a professional broadcaster. I've been on NPR Pacific Radio for 21 years. But the other thing is, I'm not your typical UFO talk show host. I don't talk about nuts and bolts. Because I'm a contactee and because I'm not from Earth, I'm a different kind of UFO talk show host. I can listen to people that have been having contact with space people like she has. I can listen to people's stories about Bigfoot and about interacting with Bigfoot, and I have heard those stories. The mer people that live in our oceans and seas, they do exist. I can talk about the fairies that have a connection and all this. I can talk about all these things because I have knowledge. And my knowledge doesn't come from people's websites or propaganda. I get downloads from off planet. And so if you're watching this show and saying, wow, this person's interesting, the reason why I do what I do without any ego is because I believe in busting the matrix, getting to the cosmic truth. And disclosure is exactly what Sage was doing. Disclosure is not coming from any government in the world, and people are waiting around. I wish that they tell us more about the space people in the Pentagon or England or something. You're never going to wait for disclosure to happen because it's never going to happen from people in power. It's going to happen on encounters. And there's a lot of stuff going on here that you're going to find out pretty soon that's happening. You're going to find out about it here on this show. There's things that are happening with contact with our positive space people. That's going to be happening soon. And you're going to find out about it not on some show on YouTube that has a big studio. You're going to find out about it right here on my show, Encounters. So Madame Sam says, how do you contact them? Uh, do they choose you, or is it something you did? So everyone has connections to star people. The thing is, most of you, not all of you, some of you already know this, but for those that have no idea, most of you have contacts to the stars. What do I mean by that? It means that you're having a human experience. You're working, you're a teacher, whatever you are, whatever you do in your life, you're doing. Whether you're poor, rich, whatever it is, it makes no difference. You're here having an experience, but everybody here, whether you believe it yet or not, you all come from the stars. You chose to come and have human parents here, but you don't remember that you come from the stars, meaning that you have a connection to a biological cosmic family somewhere in the multiverse, wherever that is. Who knows where it is, right? But you all have those connections. Now, how do you learn to do that? Through meditation, through getting out of, I tell people, get out of your head, get into your heart, center, meditate, focus on meditation, use things like the C5 app as a tool. Dr. Stephen Greer created it years ago. It's a great tool for people beginning to try to learn how to make peaceful contact with extraterrestrial intelligence. It's like $9.99 if you have the Google Play app, and you have an Android phone, download it, learn about it, read the protocol of contact. It will guide you in the right direction. If you have an Apple phone, if you have an iPhone, Apple has the download there too. And I think on YouTube, you can get the free video application on there. But download the C5 app. It's called CE5. It's an app. You download it on your phone, on your smartphone. Read the protocol, everybody. Study the protocol. Empower yourselves to be the ones who will create peaceful contact with positive extraterrestrial intelligence. I'm really committed to that. I run a C5 group here in Connecticut, which is called the Astro Command C5 Contact Program. We've been doing it for years, and we teach people how to learn to make contact peacefully with our space family. And learn how to do that. That's really essential. It's about 10:03 in the morning. You're watching Encounters, the morning edition. And we're on nightly at 11 o'clock most nights. Sometimes I take a night off because just because as a host of a show, it takes a lot of energy to do what we do. And sometimes I need to regenerate and just take a break. But you're here watching us this morning. Jenny says, I need to go to the Keys before Enoch beams me up. Madame Sam, I was just answering her question. Let me see here. Oh yeah, definitely, Sage. One day I'd love to open up a conversation with some people to ask questions. Sage, come on one of my nightly shows. We'll have people come up and ask you questions. We'll definitely do that. Yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Okay, let's see. Sir, please ask high vibe ETs to help me here. Yuma Shara, come on my show tonight. If you're having negative ET problems, come on my show Encounters and we'll help you out. Let's see. Angela's Angels, that's a great name. Tips and tools to regenerate. I think to regenerate, it's just what you drink, what you eat, meditation, focus on centering yourself, take time for yourself. That will regenerate your energy on a lot of levels. And one of the things is if you're having negative ET encounters, as Alicia's saying in my audience, you need to protect yourself. You need to, protect yourself with a shield. If you're having any problems like that, put a shield around you and just make the image of that shield, say, I'm a Christed being of light, and say, I will now put a shield around me so I cannot be abducted by lower vibrational ETs. So create that empowerment of yourself, and it'll be an etheric shield that no ET of a lower vibration can actually get into your energy field and attack you or do anything or abduct you. I've helped many people who have been abducted by bringing space people from the Astro Command to their homes on my show, and we've actually helped many people. Well, it's now 10:05 in the morning, and I'm going to call it a morning here. We'll be on tonight at 11. I want to thank everyone for watching the show. If you have a story to tell, message me here on TikTok. If you're having contact experiences, if you've had anything related to ET stuff, you have a story you want to share tonight, please message me. It's my CmdrAleon 2022. Follow me. Everybody follow me. Message me. I'll be when I get a chance. I know it won't be right away. I will definitely respond to your message. So I appreciate everybody here. Have a great morning. It's Thursday morning. And I always say is that we're going to have contact happening in about a year and a half with our Positive Space Brothers. Definitely if you want to learn more about physical contact with the galactic forces of light, definitely follow us here, listen to our show, watch our show, and you'll get that information. Take care, everybody. And remember, we're all going to bust the matrix on planet Earth. Take care. And before we go, any gifting possible, people who have not gifted, it really supports what we're doing here. If you like what we're doing, please show some love. My Venmo account is a link on my main page. On my Venmo account, you can make a donation of $5 or $10. We really appreciate it. It's not a lot to ask if you can afford to do it, or just do TikTok gifts, whatever you want to do. Before we go here, show some TikTok love for Encounters. This is a show where we really do what we do and mean what we mean, and we're dedicated to all the work we do here, and we appreciate all the gifts. We have right now, we have 9 of those hats with the mustache. I'm pinning it. So before we go, if we can get those hats and mustaches taken, that would be great. If we don't, that's okay too. I just pinned it as a goal. I have 1 of them taken. We have 9 more left. And if you want to do a TikTok gift, you can afford to do 99 coins. That's what it takes to do the hat with the mustache. Or if you want to do flowers or whatever it is, please do that. Thank you for your gifts, and we appreciate you so much. Thank you for the follows, everybody. We'll be back on tonight on Encounters, a show that's out of this world. Take care, everybody. Jackie, thanks for the roses.